Hello there. Welcome to Now Tell Us. This is an extra episode because there's something good happening in Kenya and you need to know about it. Stay tuned and we are going to learn everything that is happening on a project that is called the Kakamega Project. Now, before we go into that, I would like to appreciate each and every one of you who watches us, those who share, those who comment. Thank you very much. It's for that reason that we have reached number 3 at Podmatch. Yes, we are number 3 at Podmatch among many podcasts. Thank you very much. Now, at Podmatch, you can get to listen to the past episodes of this podcast. You can also get to join other podcasts. You can get guests. If you are an interviewer, you are a podcast host, you can get guests at Podmatch. So follow the link that is in the description and go utilize Podmatch and see us there because we are doing good. But it's only because of you, because you support us, because you highlight us. This is Now Tell Us, and I'm your host, Anthony Mwerore. And now, let's go and meet some people that are talking of something good happening in Kenya. They will introduce themselves. So I don't want to take one more minute because we've got a lot to cover. Here we go. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Jambo.
Hi, lovely to see you.
Jambo, good to see you.
Yeah.
It's such an honor to have you, all of you here. In the studio with us, we have Rachel Bauer, Claire Ashmole, and Geoffrey Ashiono. Wonderful people doing something good in Kenya. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I would like to hear from each and every one of you where you are. Where is Rachel? Where is Claire? And where is Geoffrey? Please let us know.
Would like to invite Geoffrey to start since he's from Kenya.
Okay. Hello to Anthony, our host, and my colleague from New Zealand, and the viewers from across the world. I am Geoffrey Ashiono from Kenya, western part of Kenya. I am a remedial tutor of Math Easy Tutoring Center. I'm also the founder of this center. I got connected to Claire Ashmore through a friend of mine from USA by name Dara Feldman, who is a virtual facilitator and visited Kenya in 2017. For 2 years, I've been in connection with Claire Ashmore from New Zealand, and I've looked at what she's doing in New Zealand and what I'm doing in Kenya. There is a similarity. That we are connected in a manner that we are all struggling, helping to help learners who are struggling in class, struggling in learning. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Geoffrey, for that such a wonderful introduction. Let's go to Claire. We already know that she's from New Zealand, but maybe she has something more to tell us in the intro.
Yes, thank you very much, Anthony, for having us on here. I'm based in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I'm a teacher of children and adults with dyslexia. I've always had an interest in visual-spatial learners, and I'm one myself. So as a result, I'm an advocate for best practice teaching and learning for all learners. New Zealand, visual-spatial learners.
Wonderful.
And one of my, that's a short introduction. I live in Cambridge, and I've been working specifically with dyslexia for 8 years.
Wow.
Absolutely love it. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for that intro. Rachel?
Yes, I'm also from New Zealand. I have a small connection to Africa. I lived in Tanzania as a child when my family were living there. So a piece of my heart remains in Africa. And I'm an adult education teacher, and I now work with children, teenagers, and adults with dyslexia. And I think I'd like to sort of summarize our introduction by saying that we all share a commitment to contributing to the next generations in our communities. We see a lot of intergenerational trauma around literacy and around education, and particularly with dyslexia. And we've teamed up, the three of us, to provide this effective dyslexia education in Kakamega County in Kenya. And we're partnering with an organisation called the Whole Dyslexic Society of Canada, who receive and disperse funds for this project. But I'd like to hand back now to Jeffrey to say a little bit more about his learners and the aims of this project.
Thank you very much, Rachel. We are going to Geoffrey right now. And at this point, we thank you, each and every one of you, for introducing yourself. Let me also welcome the viewers to tell us where they are coming from and where they are watching us from. And let me appreciate one of the viewers who is known as Sylvia Osham. She's greeting each and every one of you. Hello, Geoffrey, Rachel, and Claire. She says she's in Austin, Texas, USA, joining live with each of us. Thank you very much, Sylvia.
Welcome, Sylvia.
Over to you, Geoffrey, to proceed.
Okay, just to mention that we shall be carrying this in Kakamega, and Kakamega is in Kenya and in Africa. And Kakamega is located, we are bordering Uganda, we are on the border. And this is where our project, Math Easy Tutoring Center, is located. Why Kenya? We are saying here in Kenya, we have a large number of learners in classroom. If you look at the ratio of the teacher to the learner, you'll find we have a lot of pupils under one teacher. And this gives it a challenge to learners who are slow, that the teacher may not have time to handle such kind of learners because he has a bigger number. And that's why, as a founder of Math Easy, looking at this such kind of challenge, I came up with an institution, a center, where slow learners can come in and help. Slow learners who may drop out of school because there is little attention basing on large number in classroom. And when they come at the center we call Math Easy, this is a center for learners who are really having challenges in the normal schooling. They are helped in a friendly manner, they are handled one-on-one, and they feel appreciated. And when they go back to school, they're able to cope up with that. And now, having interacted with Claire and Rachel, and having seen something in common, as I do math in Kenya, they're also doing almost the same in New Zealand, which is in language and other aspects of learning. And we feel it's a common thing because we are handling learners who are having challenges. If we combine the Math Easy and the other approach, Dyslexia, I believe our slow learners will have a humble time in school and they'll prosper. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey, for such an explanation. And we'll go slightly back And this is to Claire or Rachel, who feels very confident to tell us, because we have people who are watching us that could have no idea of what is dyslexia. And it would be good to tell us in a layman's language, what is it?
Rachel.
You're muted. You're not. We
Let
are
me
not
unmute.
hearing.
I'll have a go. So just in layman's terms, dyslexia often shows up as people having difficulty with reading or understanding what they read, or with spelling and with writing. So those are kind of the 4 areas of a dyslexia. And it can flow across to other things. So, you know, Jeffrey is a specialist in mathematics, and sometimes mathematics brings language in as well as the symbols of mathematics. And so there are forms of dyslexia. I just described reading dyslexia, but you can also have mathematics dyslexia, where the symbols, and we'll get into that maybe in our conversation today, but the symbols cause phenomenon that make reading them difficult. And I think that's what Jeffrey's experiencing with his learners, that it's actually the 2D symbols, the numerals and the operating symbols, that make the mathematics difficult and the understanding of it difficult. And there's other forms of dyslexia which we might talk about, but those are the sort of the common ones from an education perspective, is the reading dyslexia and the maths dyslexia. They've got funny big names. Maths dyslexia is called dyscalculia. They're kind of odd names for phenomenon that are difficult in the first place.
Yeah.
Yes, and how do we go about helping that? I mean, what are these solutions that we are talking about?
Claire, did you want to answer that?
Well, yeah, it's interesting because the people who start having these problems, it's usually because they have a perceptual gift or strength. They may be really good at art or very creative things. Often they're engineers or builders, you know, or budding builders. And so when they go to school and have a natural way of being in the 3D and the real world, school is a very theoretical world, and school has, you know, words like cat and dog and on and the, and these words just don't connect to these beautiful 3D learners. So one of the things that can happen, as we would say when they go to school, is they become confused. And the main thing that we say is that dyslexia doesn't cause confusion. Confusion causes dyslexia. And so when you're confused, then suddenly things get jumbled or muddled, and you can't do something the first time or the second time. And the others beside you are. And of course, everyone wants to keep up with their peers. And if you don't, you start to feel shame and worry, and self-esteem drops.
Mm-hmm.
And then the confusions kind of bundle up. And once that happens, you can get symptoms. And the symptoms are often behavioral, like bad behavior or quiet behavior, or they might become the class clown or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And traditionally, people have identified these symptoms and worked at symptom level, like they might give them a behavior program or an anger management program,
Mm-hmm.
but actually there's a root cause. And the root cause is their glorious brain is networked differently. They have a perceptual talent that actually requires them to learn differently,
Mm-hmm.
to learn the way they learn, rather than connecting to perhaps the traditional or mainstream way of learning. I don't know if that makes sense, but we love to work at root cause, and then once they're learning the way they learn, then those symptoms simply drop away, and they just feel so much better about being part of an education system.
And working on the root cause, are there some games, some platforms that you give them to work on it? Are there some counseling? I don't know. You are the ones who are going. How do you work around it to tackle that root cause and help the students, the children?
Rachel, do you want to have a go at that one?
Yes. So the methodology we work with is called the Davis Dyslexia method. It was created by a wonderful, talented man called Ron Davis. He was he's still alive. He's recently retired. He's in his 80s. But he was born autistic and dyslexic, and really wasn't allowed to even participate in class till he was 12. And by the time he was 20, he had taught himself to read through using, and he just invented these methods. He used clay. He lived in a part of North America where there was clay in the backyard, and he made anything he wanted. He made models out of clay, and it helped his 3D brain understand letters to start with, and then words. And then he made models to describe the meaning of the words. So by 20, he could read. And then he went on to become a mechanical engineer. And there's a big, long conversation about what he discovered, because he also was an artist. And he wondered, why was it when he was at his creative best, his artistic best, why was it he was at his dyslexic worst? Why was dyslexia harder? So he deduced that it was not a permanent condition, and that it was variable, and what could you do about it? And that's how he sort of developed his thinking and his methods and his life's work and contribution. It's been extraordinary. So out of what he's done, he's created these key tools. And so there was a set of Davis tools which help us manage that state of disorientation so that it no longer affects us when we're trying to read or write or do maths, for example. And it helps us kind of, if you like, get clear perception of what we're looking at, right? And so, I mean, we all experience disorientation every day in different ways, but when you're dyslexic, it's more obvious, it's more severe often. So we want to be able to control that process. It's like the off switch for disorientation. So we have a set of tools, one to help relax your mind, one to manage your energy levels so you can focus, another one to help specifically with that disorientation, another one around being able to hear clearly and also be able to coordinate yourself. So we have that set of tools, and then we go into the magical world of making symbols for the letters and the words that are such a challenge for the dyslexic learner. And Claire's got some examples, little clay models that she's made overnight to share with us at some point. But when you have a word that is a clear picture, like cat, most people, or dog, most people get a picture of an animal. But if you have a word like the or and, there's no clear picture naturally. And so dyslexic learners, the 60% of our everyday language is made up of those little words. If you analyze a paragraph, you'll see how many. So if you have like pile up of those little words in a sentence, dyslexic learners will get either blanks or just confusion when they're reading, right? And so we want to master those little words, and by mastering them, we make them in clay. The meaning is in the model in the clay, plus you make the word in the clay. And then as a visual learner, you have a picture for what that word means every time you then see it in the future. So no more long lists of learning vocab by rote or repetition, instant picture in your memory forever, and reading just becomes easy for a dyslexic learner, which is a miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time just, if I could show the model to demo that. Picture's worth 1,000 words, as they say.
Sure.
So I've clayed a sheep because New Zealand, we have millions of them here.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wanted to say, context-wise, the way that this works is it absolutely can align the learning with your own personal or cultural context.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm thinking of the word on, and on seems an obvious word, but the meaning is touching or supported by. So it's on the dinner plate here, but anyway, the sheep is on the rock, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And so here is the meaning of on, right here, touching or supported by. But Jeffrey may laugh at this one because at 4 o'clock this morning I was claying a gorilla. And interesting, it was harder to clay because culturally I've never had an image of a gorilla.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone was learning on in Kakamega, then they might clay something that's familiar to them as a context. And the gorilla is on the rock, okay, on means touching or supported by. So we have these learners that absolutely love learning because we clay the meaning of the 100 or so essential words, like the essential word list that, as Rachel said, appear 60 to 70% on every page. And once they have been clayed and the visual learner has an image of the meaning in their mind, then as they read each sentence, rather than picture, blank, blank, picture, blank, blank, it's picture, 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 picture. And so they can easily stay focused to what they're reading once they have these essential words meaning clayed. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for that. And I'm curious at this point, if it was said, maybe it passed me, but then I'm curious, has any one of you gone through that phase? I mean, you are dyslexic when you are young?
I'm dyslexic, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I was told all I ever did at school was take 3 times longer than everyone else to do everything and draw pictures.
So you're talking out of experience, and that's what you're sharing with those who are experienced.
Yes. And it was really, I still, even in my 50s, had to read a page 3 or 4 times to understand it. Once I did this program myself, I realized I could read it once the first time and wondered, like, did everyone else only read the page once and understood it the first time all these years? And it was a total relief and a revelation for me, which is why I'm very passionate about teaching others now, especially children.
Thank you very much. Your sharing is quite educative right now, because we've already learned, as one Facebook user says, she or he was, it doesn't identify there, it says, was wowed by the fact that confusion causes dyslexia, not the other way around. And then we have, you wanted to say
go
something?
ahead. No, go ahead, Anthony.
Okay, and then we have another one saying that people with dyslexia are differently gifted. You agree to that?
Yes. Well, I'd like to share about that, because I think that's the other side of, there's always 2 sides of a story, that both sides of a hand. And often in the media and in school, they talk about the problems with dyslexia. And I don't want to diminish those, they're genuine. But there are so many gifts that come with this picture thinking or 3-dimensional mind. And so there are many famous dyslexics in the world who are architects and actors and screenwriters and, Ron, beautiful artist, entrepreneurs. A lot of dyslexics become entrepreneurs because they often have really amazing people skills and can engage with people in a way that other non-dyslexic people don't necessarily have those skills. If I was to get, a house designed, I would want to find a dyslexic designer who could imagine what it would be like to live in that house in a three-dimensional way, right? And there's a lot of people believe people like Leonardo da Vinci and Einstein were also dyslexic because of the way that they use their brain and really thought outside what we call in this country outside the box, like had big expansive thinking, futuristic thinking. So that's the exciting bit. And what I love is helping people get untethered from the difficulties of dyslexia and then are free to express all that creativity. So I have a little story about a young boy. He's 10. He came to me 4 months ago and he could not write. He could hardly read, and he had lots of those behavior issues that that Claire talked about. And I could see, given my background, I worked with youth in prisons for 8.5 years and saw lots of these learning difficulties there. And I could see the future for this kid could be quite difficult. His anger was going to get him in trouble, his frustration with his dyslexia. I just got his mother emailed me yesterday to say, great news, he has gone up 2.5 years in his reading in the last 4 months. That's a big leap. He's gone up 4 levels, I think, in his mathematics. No, sorry, in his writing. He was like a non-writer, and now he's writing stories. And when he came to see me last, he wrote a little story and finished it. And I said, how is that? And he said, oh, I have this funny feeling inside. I said, what is it? And he said, I feel satisfied. I finally finished my first story. He said in school they always hurried him along. He never got to finish anything. And he's a different child. And he will be, he's very creative. His stories are amazing, but he had no voice because of the frustrations of his dyslexia. And now he has a voice, and I have no idea what he will do, but I'm sure it will be remarkable.
It's wonderful. We have one of the viewers who says that many Africans hide children with dyslexia because of ignorance. They see them as problematic, not differently gifted. Now, at this point, I want to ask Joyfrey, did you have an experience with dyslexia when you were young? Or at what point did you become interested in this?
Thank you. My interest began in mathematics. Mathematics across students in Kenya, in the region, is done poorly. And with my interaction with the students, those who are slow learners are not given special attention. So as I grew up, it was in my mind, what can I do to help such kind of learners? And around 8 years ago, I began a center, a tutoring center by name Math Easy. This is a center that helps learners who have challenges, who are struggling in mathematics. Now, after running this center for some time, when I got connected to Claire and I looked at what she was doing and what I was doing, there was some connection. Although I was handling mathematics and they were handling the other areas. And I said, yes, this is the connection I need. Because most of my students cannot do word problem because they can't read. And I attended a workshop online, which were facilitated by Claire and Rachel, webinar workshop. And I said, this is what I require. After getting some skills for the 90 minutes, I used on my student who could not read and write Kiswahili, and it worked. Thank you.
Wonderful. It works. everyone out there, it works. We just need to identify issues where they are, and we do what we are capable of doing to help those who are around us, to bring up a community that is a beautiful community. It's what we got from the community that we give back. And at this point, uh, Rachel, Claire, and Jeffrey have come back, have joined together, and they are helping these children, these kids, these students, and they are asking your help. And I believe it's a good time that you also become a part of this, helping the children that they, all of them, are supporting. And they'll tell us a bit about that. Go ahead, Rachel.
Well, we've created this project so that we can support Jeffrey in his commitment to make a difference to learners in Kakamega County. And Jeffrey has 4 learning centres across the district, and they're quite far apart. They're like over 80 kilometres apart. So we wanted to be able to support all of those tutors and parents. And he's gathered together 7 other tutors plus himself and 8 parents who want to support these young learners. And we've been training, and Claire might talk about this in more detail, but we've been training with a program that allows us to deliver basic dyslexia education using the methods we've just described over the internet. And we've done it in association with a wonderful facilitator in the UK called Richard Whitehead. And I think I will hand over to Claire because she's got a wonderful way of explaining it. But our idea is to be able to make this education freely available to people who really need it. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. You know, we're in New Zealand, right down the bottom of the earth, and Kenya's right on the other side, but that doesn't make any difference. We're all here, and you're in Greece, Anthony. We're all here together, and we're learning and sharing, and that's the beauty of this technology, right? That we can do that.
Sure.
So I might hand to Claire because she's got a great way of describing the methodology we intend to use.
Go ahead, Claire.
Okay. So as Rachel was saying, the Ron Davis approach is to acknowledge the strengths of the learner and align to the strengths of the learner. And the manual and the program we use is written by Richard Whitehead, who is the UK and actually the Africa Davis director. So it's a 6-week course, though we'll make it a little bit longer with introductions and check-in and feedback. And each week we teach a particular strategy, and then the participants practice it immediately with their learners. So straight away they're getting benefit. But the interesting thing is that we really acknowledge that it's not just the children who may have the issues with dyslexia. It's often in the family somewhere. Granddad might have it, Nana might, Mum might. And the really lovely thing is that when we start talking about how dyslexia plays out in strength-based ways, then the family, you know, Dad will be there and he say, oh, that's me, I was like that. And then they can start having talks around the kitchen table, you know, of, so it's not a bad thing because I'm a really good builder because of this. And, you are too, and I can see that in you. So by having these weekly sessions, it's not simply theoretical learning, it's whole family learning where they can have these different conversations. And the beauty is that the children start to, it's like the whole family is relieved and everyone is, feeling supported. One of the main things we do is teach self-regulation focus tools, and that allows people to be able to interact in a more calm way and focused way. And previously, because of the difficulties, there could have been a bit more of reactionary, like, why can't you, and why don't you, and why are you this, and why are you that? But with understanding and self-regulation tools and being really calm, then the way that families can interact with helping with homework, for example, is just transformational. Yeah, everyone's on the same page and can understand.
Mm.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that sharing all that. And now it's all to the viewer right now. Please spread this message. We have some presidents that we are putting down because we don't understand. We have some world leaders, some doctors, some pilots that we are denying the chance of being successful because we don't help them to deal with this dyslexia. And this is your opportunity to come and support this project. And the question that I put forward to Rachel, Claire, and Jeffrey, how can we help you as your listeners? How can we be part of this wonderful experience, this wonderful project?
Well, we are running a fundraiser because a lot of this work is done with passion and energy by the people involved in the project, but there are certain resources that are necessary. So in Kenya, we need to support with some technology so that we can do these Zoom conferences with Jeffrey and his tutors and parents across those 4 centres in Kenya. And data is a big currency, isn't it, across Africa? We always need data to communicate. And just rental of training facilities for the duration of the training period. So there's costs with that. And there's costs for coordination time with Jeffrey and facilitation time for Claire and I, and also the charity that's supporting us, the Whole Dyslexic Society of Canada, have been very generous to be the charitable organisation that kind of holds our whole project, and they'll receive and disperse the funds in a really integrous way. So there's some costs associated with that. So we're running a campaign on the Raisely platform. So you can find us there on the Kakamega Project at raisely.com. It's in the chat down there. Thank you so much. So that's one way, is it's contributing that way, or inviting people. It's a good time of year, like perhaps contribute something as a Christmas gift or something. The other way is obviously to follow us on our Facebook page. So we have a Facebook page called the Kakamega Project, and we do regular updates of what's happening, lovely photos from Jeffrey and his learners in Kenya and how we're going with that. They're the biggest ways, I guess, to contribute, but also just share about it. I think the more people who know about this project, the more that the word gets out that dyslexia comes with gifts as well as challenges, and that there's real powerful ways to deal with those challenges so that people are free to, succeed in school and thrive in their lives. And I think that for me, that's the big thing, is seeing young people being able to have great lives, not in spite of their dyslexia, but with all of the things that come with dyslexia. And it's always been my commitment to make a difference in Africa, and this is one way that I feel we can contribute and make this work widely available. Claire, if you want to add anything to that, and I'd love Jeffrey had some concluding remarks as well.
I just had the image. I've read a quote before that if we think of a forest like the rainforest, the beauty of it is because of all the diversity and color, and our brains are no different. The diversity and color and range and strengths and gifts. Imagine if that huge percentage of people with dyslexia were set free in the world, and how much the world will also benefit from them being able to participate equally and freely. Yeah.
Mm. Thank you. And also,
Yeah.
Geoffrey, thank you very much, Claire. And Geoffrey, say something.
Okay, just from the math tutoring center, students who come here, some of them even drop out of school because they're always at the bottom when it comes to classwork. And when they come to this center, it is like hope to them because they're handled with the dignity, they are appreciated, and they are taught one teacher, one student. A student is given 1 hour, 2 hours, 1-to-1. And when they go back to school, they do wonders. And I believe with the combination of dyslexia and mathematics, the students will enjoy. And at this center, we do it differently. We use practical approach to mathematics. Use blocks, what a student can see, then he can see in the mind. I use fraction overlays to teach fractions. If a student can see a concrete example, then it helps the student to see in the mind. So it is my prayer and wish that if we combine the two, math easy approach, dyslexia approach, then our students will be complete and will enjoy learning in school and even outside school. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And to you, the viewer, now the call is up to you. And we also thank you for everything that you have been doing here. Every viewer, we thank you. Thanks you. Thanks so much for sharing your knowledge with us, says one Facebook user there. Thank you, Jeffrey, Rachel, and Claire, for all you do. People are thanking you for all that you do. And Nadine says, great interview. Thank you all. Such an amazing project of paying it forward. Thank you, Nadine. And we have the paragraph challenge. People are commenting. People are liking this. I agree. Thanks to Jeffrey, Rachel, and Claire. Maths is a huge issue. So this will make an incredible difference. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you, everyone. We have Asi, and we can't finish the comments. Hey, if you continue commenting after we are through, we thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Remember to share this with all your friends.
Yeah.
Remember to share this with all your friends, and let's be a part of paying it forward. A reminder,
Yep.
the website is www.thekakamengaproject.brazeley.com. And actually, the link is in the comments. I know some of us are tired of typing. Some of us could be dyslexic. Just go and click and follow. go click the link and be a part of this wonderful project. It's been a wonderful time. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Anthony, for making a special edition of your podcast for us to share about this amazing work that is happening and will continue to happen in Kenya. It's just a real privilege to be with you and to share our story, our journey, and just to let people know that this is the beginning. You know, we have a big vision for this, that this can go far beyond Kakamega, but Kakamega is the heart of the project, and it will expand from there. We already have people saying, can we be in the queue from other parts of Kenya? And we're like, yes, and let's get us going first in Kakamega. Yeah. So thank you, Anthony, as you know, highlighting this good news in Kenya at this time. Thank you. And thank you, Jeffrey, for joining us at late hours in Kenya.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes, that's about it. Each and every one of you who's here, we thank you. And that's about it. It's been a wonderful time. And we know that 2023 is going to be a wonderful year just because of something beautiful happening through the courtesy of everyone here. So that's about it for this episode. Remember to share this with as many people as you can. And now we've come to the end. I've been your host, Anthony Murore, together with Rachel Bauer, Claire Ashmore, and Jeffrey Ashiono. We are saying bye for now. Let's go and make a difference. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.